The pregnant mother was killed more than 2 weeks ago.
Just hours ago, family and friends of Alana gathered in court to face the man police say killed her just days after he was acquitted for double murder.
January 27, 2023, Tampa Courthouse. Billy Adams walks out those doors a free man after beating a double murder rap. 2 men dead in a recording studio, and he convinced 12 jurors it was self-defense. The system worked for him that day.
To count 2 of the charge of murder in the first degree, Trayvon Alberry. The defendant is not guilty.
3 days later, a different story. Alana Sims is getting her 18-month-old son ready for what she thinks is a celebration. Billy told her they're going to a party. Friends want to toast his legal victory. She's 5 months pregnant, glowing with excitement about baby number 2. Tonight feels special. 7:22 p.m. A black Chevy Malibu rolls into the Easton Park neighborhood in New Tampa. Quiet streets, nice houses, the kind of place where nothing bad happens. 7:36 p.m. Alana's SUV follows the same route. But here's what she doesn't know. There is no party, no friends waiting, no celebration, just Billy Adams, and a plan that's about to destroy 2 families forever. By 8:21 p.m., that Malibu is speeding away from Easton Park. Alana's SUV? It never leaves. Because Alana Sims is lying on the asphalt, bleeding out while her toddler sleeps in his car seat just feet away, completely unaware that Mommy isn't coming back. A witness walking his own son thinks she's drunk, just another person who had too much to drink. He keeps walking, and 9 p.m. comes and goes. Alana was supposed to pick up a friend from work. She's never late. Something's wrong. 10:04 p.m. Another passerby realizes this isn't about alcohol. This is about blood. Lots of it. The 911 call changes everything. What happens when a killer gets a taste of freedom and decides he wants more? What happens when the person you trust most becomes the person you should fear most? Drop a comment right now. Have you ever trusted someone who turned out to be dangerous? Your story might save someone's life, because what happened to Alana could happen to anyone. This is the story of 3 days that prove sometimes the most dangerous place to be is in love with the wrong person. And listen, if you care about stories like Alana's getting told, if you think her voice deserves to be heard, then hit that subscribe button and smash that like. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because every view, every share, every comment keeps her memory alive and might just save the next Alana out there. Welcome to our channel, where we don't just tell stories, we honor the victims who can't tell their own. Let me paint you the picture of who Alana Sims really was, because the media loves to reduce victims to headlines, but she was so much more. 22 years old, a mom who lived and breathed for her 18-month-old son. Her sister Carly called her my best friend. They did everything together. Her mother, Shalevi, described her as a lovable soul who stayed away from drama, kept to herself, just a real down-to-earth person who loved being around her nieces and nephews. Alana was responsible, nurturing, the kind of woman who put her child's needs before everything else. And now she was 5 months pregnant, excited about expanding her family. February 13th was supposed to be her 23rd birthday. She never made it. But here's where the story gets twisted. Enter Billy Bennett Adams III. 25 years old, local Tampa rapper who went by Ace NH. 3 albums, 2 EPs, several singles. He had dreams of making it big. But Billy had a problem with commitment and an even bigger problem with consequences. See, Billy wasn't just dating Alana, he was juggling 2 women, and both of them knew about each other. The other woman? LaKenya Brantley. And LaKenya had some very strong opinions about Alana's pregnancy. Here's where it gets really dark. The day before Alana died, Billy and LaKenya were texting back and forth. LaKenya was troubled by the pregnancy situation. She thought she and Billy were going to have a real relationship, but now there's this pregnant woman still here, complicating everything. Billy reassured LaKenya that he wanted to have a life with her. He told her that she, meaning Alana, would not be included in that future. Then Billy sent a text that should have been a red flag the size of Florida. "Tomorrow dis shit done." LaKenya's response? "This ain't the way, baby." But Billy had already made up his mind. The pregnancy was a problem, Alana was a problem, and Billy Adams had a very specific way of dealing with problems. Because here's what makes this story even more terrifying. This wasn't Billy's first time in a courtroom facing murder charges. Just 3 days before he killed Alana, he had walked out of that Tampa courthouse a free man after convincing a jury that he acted in self-defense when he shot and killed 2 men in a recording studio back in November 2020. Trevin Alberry and Daniel Thompson. 2 lives ended in what Billy claimed was self-defense. The prosecution called it execution. Assistant State Attorney Melissa Grahalis told the jury, "This wasn't self-defense, these were executions." But the jury believed Billy's story. 4 hours of deliberation and he walked free. So, when Billy Adams woke up on January 30th, 2023, he had just proven to himself that he could kill and get away with it. The system had worked in his favor once. Why not again? Alana Sims had no idea she was in love with a man who had already taken 2 lives and convinced 12 people it was justified. She had no idea that her pregnancy wasn't seen as a blessing, but as a burden that needed to be eliminated. She trusted him completely, and that trust was about to cost her everything. January 30th, 2023. Evening approaches and Billy Adams is putting his plan into motion. He calls Alana with exciting news. There's going to be a party tonight. His friends want to celebrate his acquittal from those murder charges. It's going to be epic, he tells her. She should come, bring the baby if she wants. Alana is thrilled. This feels like a fresh start for them. Billy just dodged serious prison time, and now they can focus on their future together, their growing family. She's 5 months pregnant and feeling optimistic about where life is heading. She gets her son ready, buckles him into his car seat, and heads out into the Tampa night. She has no idea she's driving to her own execution. 7:22 p.m. Security cameras capture a black Chevy Malibu with license plates registered to Billy's father entering the Easton Park subdivision in New Tampa. Billy is behind the wheel, and he knows exactly where he's going. This isn't some random neighborhood. Billy chose this location carefully. Easton Park is quiet, residential, the kind of place where people mind their own business. Perfect for what he has planned. 7:36 p.m. 14 minutes later, Alana's Ford EcoSport SUV follows the exact same route into the neighborhood. She's probably looking around for the party house, wondering where all the cars are, where all the people are. Because here's the thing that makes this so much more evil. There was never a party. There were never any friends waiting to celebrate. Billy Adams lured the mother of his unborn child to an isolated location using the oldest trick in the Predator playbook, a lie wrapped in excitement. Think about Alana's mindset in those moments. She's probably checking her phone, maybe texting Billy asking where exactly the party is. She's probably adjusting her rear-view mirror to check on her sleeping son. She's probably thinking about how nice it'll be to finally relax and celebrate with Billy's friends, to feel like a normal couple for once. She parks her SUV on Pictorial Park Drive in the 10,700 block, gets out of the car. Her son is still sleeping peacefully in his car seat. The neighborhood is quiet. Too quiet. Where is everyone? Where's the music? Where are the cars? Pause this video right now and tell me, what would you do if someone you trusted asked you to meet them somewhere isolated? Because your answer could literally save your life. Don't just watch this story, learn from it. What happened in those 18 minutes between 7:36 p.m. and 8:21 p.m.? will haunt you. Alana steps out of her SUV, probably confused. The street is empty. No party music, no laughter, no friends celebrating Billy's legal victory. Just silence and the sound of her own footsteps on the pavement. Her son is still asleep in his car seat, completely innocent to what's about to unfold. This little boy who calls her mama, who depends on her for everything, who has no idea. These are the last moments he'll ever spend with his mother. Billy approaches. We don't know exactly what words were exchanged, but we know how it ended. One gunshot to the head. Alana Sims crumples to the ground, her life bleeding out onto the cold asphalt of Pictorial Park Drive. Billy doesn't check on her, doesn't call for help, doesn't even look back at the sleeping child he just orphaned. He gets in that Malibu and drives away like nothing happened. 8:21 p.m., the cameras catch him leaving. Job done. But Alana's nightmare is just beginning. She's lying there, dying while her baby sleeps peacefully just feet away. The irony is devastating. The person who loved him most in this world is right there, but he's too young to help, too innocent to understand. 8:32 p.m. A man walking with his own son spots something on the ground. A person lying motionless. But in the darkness, he assumes it's just someone who had too much to drink. Maybe passed out. It happens. He keeps walking with his child, having no idea he just witnessed the aftermath of a double homicide. Think about that moment. If he had stopped. If he had called 911 right then. Would those extra 90 minutes have made a difference? We'll never know. Meanwhile, somewhere else in Tampa, a friend is checking the clock. 9 p.m. Alana was supposed to pick her up from work. Alana is never late, never unreliable. Something is wrong. She tries calling, no answer. Tries texting, nothing. Back on Pictorial Park Drive, Alana's son is starting to stir in his car seat. Imagine that little boy waking up, looking around for his mama. Maybe he calls out for her. Maybe he starts to cry when she doesn't respond. But there's no one there to comfort him, no one to pick him up, no one to tell him everything's going to be okay. Because everything is not going to be okay. His mother is dead, his unborn sibling is dead, and he's completely alone in the dark. 10:04 p.m. Another passerby walks down Pictorial Park Drive. This time they look closer. This isn't someone who's drunk. This is someone who's been shot. Blood everywhere. A woman, young, clearly pregnant, and then they hear it crying from the SUV. A baby. Alone, terrified. The 911 call that follows is heartbreaking. There's a woman here, she's been shot. There's a baby in the car. The baby's okay, but the woman, she's not moving. When Tampa police arrive, they find a scene that will stick with them forever. Alana Sims, 22 years old, 5 months pregnant, shot execution style. Her 18-month-old son, unharmed but traumatized, still strapped in his car seat. Major Mike Stout later said, "Any time that we have a dead mother that's 22 years old and an 18-month-old in the car feed from her body for some time before she was discovered, it's awful." That little boy spent over an hour and a half alone with his dead mother. An hour and a half of confusion, fear, and abandonment that will shape the rest of his life. The crime scene tells the story Billy Adams thought he could hide. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was targeted, personal, calculated. Alana Sims trusted the wrong person on the wrong night, and it cost her everything. But Billy Adams made one crucial mistake. He thought he was smart enough to get away with it twice. He was about to learn that lightning doesn't always strike the same place twice. February 1st, 2023, 2 days after the murder, Tampa police detectives show up at Billy Adams' door with some questions. Simple stuff. How did you know Alana Sims? When did you last see her? Billy's first response? Cool as ice. I was home all night on January 30th. Haven't talked to Alana in months. Barely knew her, really. Classic mistake. When you're lying to cops, keep it simple. Billy went overboard, and detectives could smell the bullshit from a mile away. But here's where Billy's arrogance really shows. The detectives already had evidence. They knew about the black Chevy Malibu registered to his father. They had security footage showing that exact car entering and leaving Easton Park at the precise times of the murder. They also had something Billy didn't know about, an RFID tag on his father's vehicle that tracked its movements. Technology doesn't lie, Billy. That tag showed the car leaving his father's residence and heading straight to the crime scene. When confronted with this evidence, Billy's story changes faster than a politician's promises. "Oh, that. Yeah, I was out with friends that night. Here, I've got video proof." He pulls out his phone, shows them footage of him hanging out with buddies. "Look, see? I was nowhere near Easton Park. I was partying with my crew." But detectives aren't stupid. They analyze the video metadata, and guess what they find? The footage was recorded on February 1st, the same day he's showing it to them. Billy literally filmed a fake alibi video and tried to pass it off as evidence. The level of stupidity is staggering. This man thought he could outsmart trained investigators with a home movie he shot in his backyard. Meanwhile, forensics teams are going through that Malibu with a fine-tooth comb. And what do they find tucked away in the vehicle? 2 live rounds of 9mm ammunition, the same caliber that killed Alana Sims. Billy's phone tells an even more damning story. Those text messages with LaKenya Brantley paint a clear picture of motive. The day before the murder, "Tomorrow does shit done." His girlfriend responding, "This ain't the way, baby." But the smoking gun comes from Billy's own mouth. When detectives corner him with all this evidence, the car, the fake video, the ammunition, the text messages, he finally breaks. "Okay, I was there, but it was self-defense." Here we go again, the same defense that worked for him 3 days earlier in that double murder trial. Billy Adams has a playbook, and self-defense is his go-to move. His story? Alana pulled a gun on him. They wrestled for it. He managed to get it away from her and shot her in the head. Classic self-defense, right? Wrong. When detectives ask him to demonstrate how this wrestling match went down, Billy can't do it. His story falls apart under the slightest scrutiny, so he changes it again. Now Alana pulled a gun, but he didn't wrestle with her, he just took it away and shot her. Clean and simple. The detectives are watching this man lie in real time, changing his story every time they poke holes in it. Major Mike Stout later said Billy was polite to talk to, but showed zero remorse. "I didn't find him remorseful in watching my detectives do the interview, no," Stout said. Billy Adams sat in that interview room for 2.5 hours, spinning lie after lie, showing no emotion about the fact that he had just orphaned a toddler and killed an unborn child. He admitted he knew Alana was pregnant. He admitted he might be the father. And he admitted he pulled the trigger. But remorse? Guilt? Any sign that he understood the magnitude of what he'd done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't a moment of rage. This was cold, calculated murder by a man who thought he was untouchable. Billy Adams was about to learn that the justice system doesn't always make the same mistake twice. November 2020, a makeshift recording studio in Lutz, Florida. Just a shed behind someone's parents' house where local rappers came to lay down tracks and chase their dreams. Trevin Albury and Daniel Thompson were there that night, along with Billy Adams and studio owner Joseph Meeks. What happened next would become Billy's blueprint for murder. According to Billy's testimony, he overheard Albury and Thompson planning to rob Meeks, said he saw Albury pull a gun and put it to Meeks' head while Meeks sat at his computer. So Billy did what any hero would do. He shot Albury dead. Then Thompson made a move for Billy's gun, so Billy shot him too. 2 men dead. Billy's explanation? Self-defense. He was protecting himself and Meeks from armed robbers, but Assistant State Attorney Melissa Grahale saw it differently. She told the jury the evidence at the scene didn't match Billy's story. The positioning was wrong. The angles were wrong. The whole narrative was wrong. This wasn't self-defense, Gradialis argued. These were executions. The prosecution painted a picture of Billy Adams as a cold-blooded killer who murdered 2 men and then crafted a self-defense story to cover his tracks. They had evidence. They had forensics. They had a compelling case. But Billy Adams had something more powerful: the ability to look a jury in the eye and sell them a story. He took the witness stand and convinced 12 people that he was the victim, not the perpetrator. January 27, 2023. After a week-long trial and just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict: not guilty on all charges. Billy Adams walked out of that Tampa courthouse a free man. The system had worked exactly the way he wanted it to. But here's what's truly terrifying about this timeline. State Attorney Susan Lopez and her team knew they had the right man. They disagreed with the verdict. Lopez later said, "While we respect the verdict of the jury in the prior case, we disagreed with it, and that is why we prosecuted him." They knew Billy Adams was dangerous. They knew he was capable of murder. But the jury didn't see it that way. So Billy Adams got a taste of something intoxicating: the knowledge that he could kill and walk away, that he could look authority figures in the eye and make them believe whatever story he wanted to tell. 3 days. That's how long Billy Adams enjoyed his freedom before he decided to test his luck again. But this time was different. This time, there were no witnesses to muddy the waters, no complex crime scene to interpret, no competing narratives about who was the aggressor. This time, Billy Adams lured a pregnant woman to an isolated location and executed her while her toddler slept nearby. There was no way to spin this as self-defense, no way to claim he was protecting anyone. This was pure, calculated evil. The pattern was clear. Billy Adams had learned that violence could solve his problems and that the justice system could be manipulated. The recording studio murders taught him he could kill. The acquittal taught him he could get away with it. Alana Sims paid the price for that lesson. Comment below. Do you think the justice system failed Alana? Because this pattern is happening everywhere, and your voice matters in demanding change. The most chilling part? If that jury had convicted Billy Adams in January, Alana Sims would still be alive today. Her son would still have his mother. Her unborn child would have had a chance at life. Instead, a killer walked free and immediately started planning his next murder. February 8, 2023. Billy Adams is at his parents' house when Tampa police come knocking. This time, they're not asking questions, they're making an arrest. First-degree murder, killing of an unborn child by injury to the mother. 2 felony charges that could put him away forever. Billy's reaction when they slapped the cuffs on? Nothing. No emotion, no tears, no pleas of innocence. Just the same cold indifference he showed during his confession. His parents watched their son get loaded into a police cruiser, probably wondering where they went wrong. How did they raise a man capable of executing a pregnant woman? Meanwhile, across Tampa, Alana's family is trying to pick up the pieces of their shattered world. Her mother, Shalivi Sims, gets the call she's been waiting for. "We got him." The relief in her voice is palpable when she tells reporters, "Justice has been served. I can't bring my daughter back, but at least we know that the monster that did this was set behind bars." But listen to what she says next. "And maybe he would think now of what he'd done. If not, may God be with him." Even in her grief, even after losing her daughter and grandchild, Shalavi Sims shows more humanity than Billy Adams ever did. Alana's sister Carly Williams is devastated. She tells reporters that Alana was her closest sibling, her best friend. "I told her everything."
Even though I'm older than her, she was taller than me. That was my best friend. I told her everything. We did everything together.
"We did everything together." Now she's planning a funeral instead of a baby shower. The family faces an impossible reality. They're not just mourning one loss, but 2. Alana and her unborn child, a daughter, and a grandchild who will never take their first breath. But the most heartbreaking victim in all of this? Alana's 18-month-old son. This little boy who spent over an hour alone in that car seat, crying for a mother who would never answer again. He's now in the care of family members who love him, but nothing can undo the trauma of that night. Nothing can give him back his mother. Nothing can explain why the person who was supposed to protect him is gone forever. Alana was supposed to turn 23 on February 13th. Instead, her family spent that day planning her funeral. The community rallied around the Sims family, but the questions lingered. How many more Alanas are out there? How many more women are dating men with violent histories they know nothing about? Interim Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkall summed up the community's outrage. Mere days after he was acquitted of a separate crime, our homicide suspect did the unthinkable when he killed an innocent woman and her unborn child. State Attorney Susan Lopez was even more direct. What this defendant did is unimaginable. But here's what makes this story even more tragic. It was completely preventable. If Billy Adams had been convicted for those recording studio murders, Alana would still be alive. Her son would still have his mother. Her family would still be whole. Instead, a killer walked free and immediately claimed 2 more victims. This system failed Alana Sims, and now her family has to live with that failure forever. Here's the truth nobody wants to talk about. Pregnancy is the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship. Statistics don't lie. Pregnant women are more likely to be murdered by their partners than die from any pregnancy complication. Why? Because pregnancy represents permanence. It's a biological chain that some men see as a threat to their freedom. Billy Adams looked at Alana's growing belly and saw 18 years of child support. 18 years of being tied to someone he didn't want in his life anymore. So he eliminated the problem. But here's what makes Alana's case even more terrifying. There were warning signs that everyone missed. Billy was juggling multiple women. He had a history of violence. He had just walked out of a murder trial 3 days earlier. Yet Alana trusted him completely. She got in her car that night believing she was going to celebrate with the man she loved. She had no idea she was driving to her own execution. The red flags were there. The text message to LaKenya, "Tomorrow desestan." The lack of remorse after his previous acquittal. The pattern of using violence to solve his problems. But nobody connected the dots until it was too late. This isn't just about Billy Adams. This is about a system that fails women every single day. It's about the thousands of Alanis out there right now, pregnant and vulnerable, dating men with violent histories they know nothing about. It's about the friends and family members who see the warning signs but don't know how to intervene. It's about the prosecutors who know they have the right defendant but can't convince a jury. It's about the women who trust the wrong person at the wrong time. Alana Sims was 22 years old. She was 5 months pregnant. She was a devoted mother who put her child's needs before everything else. She deserved to see her 23rd birthday. She deserved to hold her second baby. She deserved to watch her son grow up. Instead, she's another statistic in America's epidemic of intimate partner violence. Don't let her death be meaningless. If you know someone in a dangerous relationship, speak up. If you see the warning signs, act. If you're in danger yourself, reach out for help. Because the next Alana could be someone you love, and unlike Billy Adams, you might not get a second chance to save them.